two gift-giving seasons have occurred recently. Of course, Christmas. I know the funny thing about seasons or headlines or current events is that they change so quickly.
Yep.
Even if it was just yesterday, you go, oh, that was so yesterday.
So yesterday.
But with gift-giving seasons, would you ever give Susie a bouquet of pickles?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, maybe as a gag gift.
Yeah.
For the laugh of it, if they were affordable. But I just picture a bouquet of pickles probably not being cheap.
I saw one for Valentine's Day.
Really?
Uh-huh.
For Valentine's Day?
It was a photo.
Okay.
But I did see somebody was giving a bouquet of pickles.
Well, she's not a huge pickle person, but
Okay.
if she were, yeah, I can see doing that.
Evidently, pickles are trending
Yeah.
in 2025.
So
Who knew?
Pinterest comes out every year with a thing that they say, we think these are based on what's trending right now, what's going to be big in this new year, like going to the mountains over the beach. I don't know where
Who
people's
comes up
minds
with
are.
this stuff?
That's messed up right there, in my opinion. Yes, I want to go to the mountains, but I'm going to take the beach 9 times out of 10.
Yes.
In that one there. Clothing trends, all sorts of trends, but one of the new food trends and flavor trends is pickles.
I mean, who comes up with these things?
I don't know. Well, Cheetos, for one.
Cheetos has come up with
they're
pickles?
going to be dropping the flaming hot dill pickle flavor of Cheetos before too long.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Artificial. I'm just trying to figure out what this tastes like.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like I'm throwing shade. Listen, I used to love Cheetos. And you can, Lay's has the statement cornered in the no one can eat just one. But to me, Cheetos were that way.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I could just get into a bag.
And
Cheetos.
not the puffed ones, right? Like
No.
the hard or crunchy.
I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't.
Puffed ones are okay.
They're fine.
But yeah.
But those crunchy ones,
Yeah.
I remember one day, it's been several years ago, but I was like, man, I cannot stay out of this. But now it's a little different for me. And I'm just like, I'm trying to think about the dusting of pickle flavor.
Right. Well,
Cheeto.
Goldfish rolled out pickle-flavored goldfish back
Really?
in 2024, so last
They were
year.
ahead of their time.
Jimmy John's, they have unveiled the Pickle Witch. Have you seen those?
I have not.
Yeah. No bread. The bun of your sandwich is a pickle.
Oh, interesting.
And it was just several weeks ago that the Susie and the kids were out grocery shopping, and as they're approaching the checkout counter at the grocery store they were at, they had dill pickled flavored popcorn.
Huh.
We eat a lot of popcorn in our house.
Oh, okay.
And so they brought a bag home. And it was interesting.
Did you like it?
I like it. It was fine.
It was fun.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a
It was
solid
fine.
6.
Oh.
I did not dislike it.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it. It was like,
You didn't put it on the grocery list for next time.
no, it's not on the grocery list for next
Okay.
time, nor did I just try it and throw away the bag.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, we
Well, you
bought
gotta
it.
finish.
We'll eat it.
Yeah.
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 But we probably won't be purchasing it a second time.
Do you remember as a kid going into any grocery store that had the really big jars of
Yes.
dill pickles
The big dill pickles?
Yes.
Yes.
and getting one
Getting
of
one.
those?
Yep.
See, I mean, pickles have been cool, I guess, but now they're trending.
Yeah.
I just don't quite get it. Now, okay, sweet pickle, dill pickle,
Oh,
hot pickle, which
Dill hot, not sweet. Not a fan of sweet pickles.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Ben May, bless him, he's a sweet pickle guy.
Mm.
And I've never liked sweet pickles. I think it's because if you grow up with them, and his family, like his grandma, would can sweet
Okay.
pickles. So that's what they had.
Sure.
He will eat a dill pickle, but it's kind of, if he's given the choice, he's going to go sweet. I cannot do a sweet pickle, but I don't remember anybody canning those.
Yeah. No. No, dill all the way in our house. I mean, I guess two of my kids don't mind sweet pickles.
Okay.
One of them prefers them over dill. I don't know where they got that. Yeah.
No.
It's
Spicy
trending.
pickle, though. Spicy pickle for sure. And they're easy to make. Like, I didn't realize how easy they were to make, but I was doing
Yeah.
a recipe one time, and I'm like, pickles, I mean, it's intimidating to me. And through the little ingredients together, I'm like, oh,
Right?
those are good.
Yeah.
And these were spicy pickles that I
Oh,
made.
That would be good. Yeah.
Maybe I could be cool because everything is about like Instagram, all of this online worthy stuff. Because another thing that's trending, freeze dried foods.
Really? Okay.
Go figure. But according to the article that I was reading, it was posted on CNN. They're saying that people are looking for affordable experiences.
Sure.
What a way to phrase that. So trying these freeze-dried candy and different things, cheesecakes and meats and things like that, like it's hitting this niche because then they're just going online to document that they're doing it. And I'm like, that is such a. I still come from the generation that goes, huh?
Yeah.
What? Huh?
I get it. Yep. Well, if you're looking for things that are usually expensive, but trying to make them a little bit more affordable, apparently Red Lobster is bringing back Lobster Fest.
Oh?
So maybe you have the chance to get a little lobster that way.
Is it $40 a person yet?
Yeah, I've not seen the price tag yet on that.
Okay.
Other restaurants, Denny's is closing. More restaurants, 150 locations closing here. But this one I'm intrigued by a little bit. Krispy Kreme and Hulu are teaming up on a donut collection inspired by movie theater snacks.
Huh. So it wasn't enough for Krispy Kreme to partner with McDonald's.
Right.
Now they're going to partner with movie theaters.
They're partnering with movie theaters.
Somebody
I think
was
they did with
thinking.
Pop-Tarts not that long ago.
Yep.
But now they're doing and dropping the blue raspberry slush donut, the caramel popcorn donut, the cookie dough superstar donut, and the candy double feature donut.
I can't.
No?
Did you say slushy donut?
The blue raspberry slush donut, which basically is their, Krispy Kreme glazed with a blue raspberry.
Of
topping.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. But
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
I mean, somebody at Krispy Kreme is thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're trying to keep the brand alive. I get that with things closing and different organizations moving from towns. Like In-N-Out was supposed to start putting their headquarters here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
In the Nashville area. And it turns out, I guess they're heading back to California, according to what we were looking at.
Big corporate office,
Yeah.
going back to California. Apparently, what they're building in Middle Tennessee, they're still going to build, they're still going to use, but it sounds as if it's going to be more or like a regional headquarters
Sure.
as they look to expand further east.
And
so
Briggs was
that'll be-
telling us that KFC is moving to Texas.
To Texas.
You can't take Kentucky Fried Chicken and move it to Texas.
It's not Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. It's KFC.
Oh.
So, but will they rebrand that? TFC?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna, Colonel, bless him, he'd be rolling over in his grave.
It probably would.
Yeah. But it's interesting, though, about the pickle thing. I just wonder, though, if it's going to get more expensive now to get pickles. I know everything's going up. I understand that. Even coffee
Yeah.
is on the rise. I just ordered coffee for home
Okay.
from Raphael's.
Yes.
Ding. Raphael's Roastery, because that's how we get by around here. And the owner, who's a friend, he was like, I'm so sorry about surcharges, but it is going up. Coffee has gotten outrageously expensive. And I'm like,
What
I mean,
hasn't?
it's, yeah, I get it. If Waffle House is charging 50 cents extra an egg right now, which we talked about, then it didn't surprise me at all that coffee. And I think he's trying to do surcharges just so if it changes again, he can take that off.
The surcharge off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But wow,
Yeah.
everything. So I figure pickles are going to go up in cost if they're
Probably.
trending. If they're trending, make your own.
Any way you can make a buck, people are going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. Well, those are some of the things that are trending out in culture, but there are some things that if they're trending in your church, it is a sign of
It's a
health
good thing.
in your church. There's a guy named Sam Rayner who kind of took a look at what are the things that if we see these happening in your church, it means your church is on a growth and health trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was kind of intriguing. And he talked about the very first thing, which I'm like, that I've never necessarily thought about that, but it makes a ton of sense. And that if children and students comprise more than 25% or more, 25% or more
Sure.
of the average worship attendance, then that is a good trend for the health of your church.
That is a good trend, and hopefully the discipleship is happening.
Right.
And not just the fun and exciting and doing, but something that engages the kids with their faith so that as they get older, because with everybody leaving the church after they got out of high school,
Right.
looking at those trends just a few years ago, then hopefully we in the church are learning from that data and now investing more in learning to disciple kids and maybe then discipling one another.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge thing. That's another trend, if you will, if you want to look at within your church to see what the conversion ratio is. And that means people coming to faith in Christ.
Okay. Yep.
How many people in your church does it take to represent one soul repenting? So are we evangelizing? Are we going in and sharing the gospel with people? Because if it's like 1-to-1, it means that each person in your church is reaching someone for Christ. 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay. Yep.
If it's 20-to-1 or better, you're in a healthy church. But if it's like 100-to-1, you might want to examine whether the Great Commission is still something that's important and a focus for your church.
So the smaller the number, the better.
The smaller
is the
the
thing.
better.
Okay.
1-to-1 would be
1-to-1
great,
would be
wouldn't
great.
it?
Yeah. Well, I remember a couple of years ago, there was a big push across one of the denominations, like, who's your one?
Who's your one?
Who is the one person that you're praying for and really trying to share the gospel with? I thought that was a cool initiative that they were challenging us with.
And prayer is so key that we not give up on interceding for people that need to know the Lord.
Yeah. One of the other trends that if your church is on a good trajectory that you're going to see is that giving is actually going to consistently exceed expenses.
Sure.
Because there's an expense of having a church, right?
Any ministry.
Right. So you got to pay the bills, you got to pay the staff, you got to keep everything working and running and all of that. And so sometimes if the church is in decline and the giving begins to drop, all of a sudden expenses are more than what the giving is. But if consistently giving exceeds the expenses of the church, pretty good sign that your church is going in the right direction.
Doing all right. And some of those expenses are the maintenance fees. I mean, you think about roofs that need to be repaired and HVAC systems, not to mention paint and repairs within the building. I mean, that adds up pretty quickly. And if your church is putting a lot of those little projects off or the big projects, it might be indicative of that financial issue where you're not growing, not keeping up with expenses because you're not getting those repairs done.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. And I think about that at home too. It's like, well, we can wait on that. Maybe we won't fix that right now. It'll be okay. But once you let that one go and then the next one comes and then it starts to snowball, then you find yourself, as we would say where I'm from, in a world of hurt because it's gotten monumental and now there isn't enough money to take care of things.
Right.
So it's just one of those things, kind of eyeball, maybe ask if people aren't talking about it, just to make sure that your church is healthy.
Yeah. One of the other things that is a big indicator of health and growth in a church is the percentage of people who regularly attend. Are they involved in a group of some sort? Small group, life group, Sunday school class, whatever, however your church has structured it, named it, called it, whatever. Are they consistently investing in a group type setting where people can actually, to use kind of a Christian phrase, do life together?
You had to say it, didn't you?
I did.
Had to say it.
Had to go for the overused little phrase.
Okay. Well, if you're listening on audio podcast, you can't hear my eyes rolling,
but they are.
They're rolling. If you're on YouTube, then you're seeing that. Yeah, I mean, but it is true. I would challenge that statement, though.
What do you mean?
If we're really doing life together, or are we showing up for a meeting once a week? Like, is there really an investment in the relationship beyond our once a week meeting? Are you praying for one another? Are you meeting outside of small group? That's doing life together.
That is doing life together.
I always said, now, I'm transformed now. I have a life group that I really love and appreciate and have had a lot of people in my life. But my thing has always been, like, I have believer friends that I do life with.
Yeah.
And thankfully, as one of my dear, dear friends says, Dawn, we were raised in a very unique environment. We're from a small town. We had a really tiny church, and we did life together. I thought that's what you did as believers. Like you have Christian friends, that iron sharpening iron,
Yep.
and you do life together. So then when this language in the church started coming out, I'm like, what does that mean? You want me to show up once a week, bare my soul, talk about the word, whatever it's set up to do.
Right.
You know, different life groups have different purposes. Why? Why?
Well, I think from the business standpoint of the church and the health of the church, they would say that if people are plugged in to a life group in some way, then they are about 80% more likely to still be in that church 5 years down the road.
Yes.
Right? If people don't get connected relationally with other people in their church, it is so easy for them to just drift in and out
of
churches all the time, because we all want to be connected with people.
Yes.
We're created to do life in community with each other.
Right.
And if we don't find that easy in a church, well, then it's real easy to leave that church.
Which I would be part of that group too. Not getting connected in a couple of different churches really well.
Yeah.
Then a couple, 3 years in. I mean, one church we were at for 13 years, but still that connection piece. Like as far as group.
It takes a lot of work.
It does.
A ton of intentionality.
Yeah, I'll own that I didn't do that well.
And if you're not willing, in a sense, to go first and put yourself out there, it's probably not going to happen.
I know.
Right. And I say that as one who has done both.
Sure. Yeah.
And there have been many, many, many years where I just kind of wanted to fly under the radar and, not necessarily get connected real well with people. And other times where I'm like, no, we're going to be real intentional about this.
Yeah.
And we are
going
to open our house to those in our life group, and we are going to hang out outside of the church walls. And I remember I was in a group where we were talking about what are the indicators, in a sense, of a healthy church doing community together well. And one of the guys in the group, he said, I think one of the massive indicators is how much time do we spend together when we don't have to?
Correct.
When we're not in worship service or in Sunday school class, are we hanging out together?
Yep.
If not, we're not going to get the kind of community that we say we want. And so we got to prioritize it. And if we don't, then no surprise that we're not going to feel connected. We're not going to have deep friendships, and we're going to find it easy to drift in and out of churches.
When bad things happen in your life, you have no one there to support you, no one there to come alongside and not only pray, which is the biggest thing that we need when those difficult days come, but also maybe show up at the house. Maybe bring a meal, maybe run errands or something. Like you just don't have those people necessarily that you can turn to in your church. You may have them outside your church.
Right.
But you don't necessarily have them in it. And so intentionality, it's like you guys were talking about these trends in the church that Sam Rayner put together. And you didn't even have the article.
Oh, no.
You guys were talking about real life stuff.
We're living this stuff.
That's a good thing. That is such a good thing. But you did have to make the choice, didn't you?
Oh, I had to be super intentional about it. Because if we just sat back and waited for these things to fall into our lap, it wouldn't happen.
Not going to happen.
Right. So Susie and I were very intentional about looking for community, looking for that. And, we had been a part of different groups and different things where the intent and the purpose was to study the Bible. And that is good. That is good. We need to do that. But if that is all we are doing, and we don't take the time to develop those deep friendships where we really know each other, then when things do go sideways, we're not showing up at the house.
Yeah.
We're not praying for each other. We're not doing these things because we don't know each other.
Yeah.
We may know, that person, their theology is pretty good. That person knows a lot about God. That person knows the Bible well. That person doesn't. But we don't know each other and what's going on in each other's lives.
And that's where a small group can be very beneficial as a starting point. If you are in a group like that and then you start connecting with people and get to knowing them and meeting outside of that group, I think that's where the rubber hits the road, if you will,
Yeah.
because you're making that choice to do what you guys have done, to do what we're trying to do too, and that is engage. And sometimes it's not everybody in the small group, it's a few people that you'll get together with outside the church
Right.
walls. And I think that's going to be true anyway. Like, not everybody can get together every time.
Right.
But you foster those friendships and relationships, praying for one another. So that's where, okay, I'll embrace do life together when the effort is made and the connection's really there. But if it's just once a week and everybody's like, okay, we're here,
Right.
nah, I
Yeah.
don't know. That to me sounds like another meeting that I need to be at.
Sure. And I think one of the things that is sometimes challenging with that is when in a family situation where you've got couples going
Yeah.
on and
Mhm.
kids or whatever, finding dynamics that actually work,
Sure.
because that can be tough. Like,
Yes.
you may have a bunch of guys who are connected well, but their wives don't click,
Yep. It's
or
true.
vice versa.
Yeah.
A great group of women, but their husbands, they just, for whatever reason, they can't get along well.
Or
Like,
connect,
they can
yeah.
be civil, right?
Sure,
We can get
sure.
along, but like connect deeply.
Yep.
And so I think that is one of the big challenges, something to pray about, asking the Lord to help you find community like that, and then intentionally looking for it.
That and that goes back to prayer.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't you think? Because the Lord's going to lead you, and sometimes He's going to put you in a small group where He's going to use you to bless other people, and you're there for a purpose that He has designed. And other times, He's going to put you in a small group where you're the one that's going to kind of soak it in
Yeah.
and be fed. And those seasons can change in and out of either a small group or in and out of the seasons of your own life where we're growing in the Lord and helping one another to grow.
Yeah.
Back to the word. So it's all together. It's not one thing.
Right.
And I think that's super encouraging.
Well, hope that you are seeing some signs of health in your church as we're talking about this article here and saying, oh, yeah, that's a trend
So good.
that I'm seeing in our church. If you want this article that Sam Rayner has written, we'll put that in the show notes. Appreciate you watching and listening on whatever platform you've connected. If you've not done so before, hope you'll like and subscribe. You'll check out the links in the notes, including Raphael's coffee, like we were talking about just a little bit ago. And if you feel so led, even give a gift of support, as we appreciate you being our +1 today. If you want to connect, it's donandsteveplus.com or wherever you've connected with this podcast.